Welcome back to Fantasyland Adventures, a podcast where we talk all things Disney, Universal, and travel. My name is Jamie. This is my co-host Brandy. We are travel professionals with such a time as this, a travel agency. Are you getting excited for our Disney trip?
I am. It's getting close.
We are about a week away.
Yeah. I've been trying to work on our packing list.
See, it's hard right now because a lot of times we go to Disney when it's cooler here. So we can pack
Our summer clothes.
our shorts, and t-shirts, and all
And
this
it's
stuff.
hot here right now.
Yeah, right now it's 90 degrees here, so we're wearing the same clothes. So getting into our news, we're going to start with Universal. All of the original houses for Halloween Horror Nights have been announced. We talked about those on last week's show. So we're at this point just waiting to see what IP houses. I'm kind of thinking maybe this week, maybe next week, we should get to see some Universal houses coming out. DreamWorks Land has been going through some cast member previews and AP previews.
And I've seen a lot of good things about that.
Yeah, it looks
on a couple of vlogs.
Yeah, they've done a theatrical rehearsal is what they're calling it, which is basically can be kind of just like almost like a dry run. Doesn't look like everything's
Soft
open.
opening.
Yeah, like a soft opening. And they've been letting day guests and just random Joe Blow.
I did see, I think it's for the roller coaster. There's only one cart, so you might have a little bit of a line.
Yeah. So that one,
running.
whatever, I can't remember what it was there before because, like I said, we haven't done a ton of Universal.
There was a ride.
But it's basically just a retheme. It's the same track, same everything. They just rethemed everything.
Right.
And we also forgot to mention last week talking with Universal, there's going to be a new parade. It's going to have some of your favorite movie characters like Trolls, Jurassic Park, E.T., and more. I would expect maybe some of those DreamWorks characters in there too. So that's really all for Universal right now. Not a ton coming out of there. For Disney, Tiana's Bayou Adventure has been having cast member previews.
Did you see the lines?
Yeah. I've heard that they had some mechanical issues.
I think I saw something about that.
But that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's why they're doing what they're doing to be able to get those things fixed. So hopefully by the time it opens up to
I'm still hoping we'll be able to snag a virtual queue and be able to ride it next week when we're there.
Yeah, we've got basically 2 days to do it. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do that. Rock and Roller Coaster has been down for a while. Like I want to say it's like I don't know if it's been quite a year yet, but it's been a minute.
Close to that.
And
was it open when we went in March? Last March?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think when we went with my parents. I don't think
it was either.
So that's set to open back up on July the 27th, and Lion King is turning 30. 30.
That makes me. How old does that make me?
22. That's what I told our daughter today because your birthday's coming up.
Yep.
She said, "How old's Mommy?" I said, 22. Mommy's going to be 22 for the rest of her life.
That's right. Lion King is the OG.
Lion King is a good one. Obviously, Lion King is huge in Animal Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So Animal Kingdom's got a few new snacks coming out. Over on Discovery Island, which is where the Tree of Life is, at the 8 Spoon Cafe will be a slushie. It's called the Simba. It's going to be a mango flavored slushie combined with grenadine and topped with 2 gummy candies for some sweet grub.
Is that alcoholic?
Does not say.
That sounds really good.
Does sound good. At the Isle of Java, you're going to have Timon's Luau, which is a layered dessert with vanilla, passion fruit curd, guava jam, vanilla chantilly cream, and an edible tropical flower for the leg, and mint for the hula skirt. Over at Tiffin's, they're going to have Rafiki Squash Banana. It's a shake blended with squash bananas, baobab fruit, I don't know how to say that, vanilla, cinnamon, and cardamom. Not a big banana person, but if you are, that's probably good.
Pass on that.
They're also going to have a dessert called Remember Who You Are, the Lion King 30th anniversary dessert. And that's going to be a Kenyan coffee mousse filled with caramelized bananas, chai chantilly, banana caramel sauce, chocolate coffee crumble, chocolate decoration, and a sugar sun.
You lost me with coffee and banana.
You lost me with banana. I can deal with the coffee. I like coffee. I'm not a huge coffee flavored thing, but I mean, to each their own. Over in Africa at Tamu Tamu, it's going to be the Zazu ice cream sandwich. It's going to be vanilla ice cream between two blue cake coated sugar cookies with a chocolate medallion on top. Or if you're watching on YouTube, we're actually looking at it right here on the website. It's some kind of looks interesting. At the Harambe Market, you're going to have the You Follow Old Rafiki cheesecake, and it's going to be a passion fruit mango cheesecake, a coconut lime crust, vanilla bean chantilly, and a chocolate medallion. I'm not a huge cheesecake person, but that sounds actually.
I feel like they're hitting a lot on passion fruit and mango.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're very good summer flavors.
Right. Yep. As you go into Dinerland USA and Restaurantosaurus, there's going to be 2 items. It's going to be a Shenzi strawberry lemonade.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. It's going to be Minute Maid premium lemonade, Minute Maid strawberry smoothie, and a blue curacao syrup served with a souvenir glow cube. And this is going to be another dessert, which is going to be a red velvet dessert. What's going to be called the Rightful Ruler. It's going to be a pizza fari. It's a red velvet cake with cookies and cream, cheesecake filling, and chocolate icing, topped with a chocolate medallion on chocolate rocks.
Sounds good.
That sounds good, yeah.
Red velvet can be tricky.
Yeah, red velvet's good. It's not my favorite thing.
Red velvet's good, but it can
good.
be tricky. I'll be interested to see how that one is.
I don't know that we're going to be there because they're only going to be served from June 10th to September the 9th. So I don't know that we're going to actually be able to try any of these
over there
before they're out. So over at Trilo Bites, this one's going to have some Dole Whip in it. It's the Zazu Dole Whip Lime and Coconut Float. That sounds amazing. Which is going to be Dole Whip Lime into a Sprite with coconut and blue curacao syrup. Then topped with white chocolate medallion. So that sounds pretty good.
Sounds like we...
Lion King and Dole Whip.
Might be...
Might need to make a trek over to Animal Kingdom.
Trek over to Animal Kingdom.
Get some snacks. And finally is going to be the Simba Paw cookie, and it's just a sugar cookie that's kind of in the shape of a lion's paw. So that's about what we have for our news segment. Our main topic is going to be how to pick a Disney resort, because there is a ton. There's, I want to say 27 is the exact number.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different varieties.
So what is your first step, and for us, not necessarily for a client, but what do you think of when we're trying to pick a resort?
The biggest thing that I think of is, what's our game plan?
Yeah.
Are we going to be hitting the parks a lot? Are we looking to kind of have a low-key trip and doing a little bit more resort days?
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things I look at.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to the parks a lot, I may be more lenient to staying cheaper.
Yeah. Yep.
And staying at some of the lower value resorts.
Now,
whereas if we're going to be kind of taking a low key, hanging out at the resort, I might look for different resort amenities.
Something else to consider with that is not necessarily, if you're going to the parks a lot, you may want to stay cheaper. That being said,
you're further away. Absolutely.
So those deluxe resorts are going to have more transportation options. They're going to have, quicker transportations. Like I would say All Stars, for example, is going to have a lot longer of a bus wait than some of the other parks that are closer, just because they're closer. They can get back and forth a lot easier.
Absolutely.
So when we go through with clients, I kind of start this process with a consultation call, which is what I do with every single, especially Disney. I don't necessarily do it if we're doing like Sandals or even Universal's a lot easier than, because Universal's hotels are a lot closer than Disney's are. It's a lot smaller footprint. Matter of fact, 90% of Universal's hotels you can walk, even not the expensive ones. But Disney's is so spread out. So the first thing I want to know is, do you already have something in mind? Have you been to Disney before?
Have you been looking?
Yeah, like we have one client who's a repeat client. She loves the Polynesian. She's looked at a couple other ones, but the Polynesian's kind of been the one that she's going back to. And she's looked at it again. So that can make it super simple if you already kind of know. But I would say the vast majority of people that we're helping have either never been, it's been a long time, or they're not exactly sure.
See, a lot of it is just not knowing, because there's so much.
And it's always changing.
To Disney now.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of, here's a pamphlet, enjoy your park, everything's
the thing with
so
Disney
advanced now.
is, one, it's a it's a huge investment, or can be. You want to make sure you're educated in what you're doing. You don't want to go thinking the old example that you see a lot of people kind of poke fun at is, where's the Harry Potter at Disney? Well, it's not. But
Yep.
so that's one thing you want to kind of look at is what parks are you going to be visiting. You know, you may not want to stay at, let's say, Boardwalk if you have no intention of visiting Epcot.
Absolutely. But I will say, the time we stayed at Beach Club, we went into Epcot a lot.
We did. But we also have annual passes. The vast majority of people going there may not want to go. Now, if they have park hoppers, that's easy.
Yeah.
You know, they can just jump over and
absolutely. But if, you know, in that example, if they say, hey, we just want to do Epcot and maybe Hollywood Studios,
then any of those resorts are perfect.
Those resorts are perfect because you can walk to Hollywood Studios, you can get on the boat,
Skyliner,
or you can get on the Skyliner.
Yeah. So I would always say what parks you're planning on doing. Now, what would you say if somebody says, I'm going to all 4 parks? Where do you think you'd go from there?
How long is their trip?
Let's just say a week, they're going to do 1 park a day.
Okay. I would try to gauge, you know, what they're looking for. Are they planning on staying at the parks sun up to sundown? Are they looking to take breaks?
What age are their kids?
Do they have kids?
Yeah.
You know?
To me, and it's almost counterintuitive to me because the deluxe resorts have a ton to offer outside of just going to the parks. However, they're the easiest, in my opinion, to get back and forth to the parks with kids. No question. Especially like a Skyliner resort, because unless it's a double stroller, like the wider ones, you don't have to fold up a stroller.
Being on a monorail, you don't have to fold up anything.
Yeah.
Unless
and that's crazy packed, then you probably should just be considerate.
You know, if you have littles, especially after a long park day, they're falling asleep in the stroller.
Yeah.
Not having to wake them up
to get them on a bus.
To get them on a bus is a game changer.
Now that being said, not all the
because
luxury
especially
resorts.
You know, when it's just you and I, and both are asleep.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to juggle the two while you're breaking the stroller down.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
That being said, not all deluxe resorts have
monorail access.
Monorail or Skyliner. You figure Animal Kingdom strictly bus.
Yeah. Wilderness Lodge has the boat.
Yeah. To me,
but you still have to break things down.
You do.
Unless you get on. They do have one.
The bigger boats.
Bigger boats.
They have 2 kind of boats that come through there.
Yeah.
One's a little bit bigger. That to me is the downfall to Animal Kingdom Lodge is that it's strictly bus. Like I wish,
but it's also slower.
It is.
It's not as crowded.
If you could give me access to Animal Kingdom, the park, from Animal Kingdom Lodge without having to get on the bus, that resort.
It'd be a game changer.
It would be a game changer. That would be, I would say, top 3 resort. Because that resort's got some of the best dining. It's got some of the best views as far as you got Savannah view rooms that you can look out your window and see a giraffe. I mean, there's almost, outside of going to Africa, there's nowhere you can do that.
Yeah.
Besides that. We've kind of touched on it before. Are you planning any resort days? You know, I always recommend at least 1 resort day, especially if you're doing a 4-part.
If you're planning on being there more than 3 days,
you want to build in a break day.
I would absolutely build in a break day.
Yeah. You know, Disney's resorts are not cheap, even comparisons to other hotels around the area. You want to be able to take advantage of the things that you're already paying for.
Absolutely.
You know, you're paying for that theme. You're paying for the pool. You don't want to necessarily always be, you know, sun up to sundown and gone. Now, there's a lot of people who enjoy that, and that's fine. But to me, I like going to the pool. I almost like going to the pools and hanging out at the resorts more than I do the parks.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, they got
especially when it's hot.
Yeah, pools. Not always like bathwater. It's fairly refreshing most days. So that's to me is one of the things to consider because you know your value resorts aren't going to have that same level of amenities and pools and stuff like that as even your moderates or your deluxe.
Yeah, but I even feel like Art of Animation's pool is really good.
It's great, but it doesn't have like a water slide.
It doesn't. But
it's still just a standard. It's got great theming, but it's a standard pool. You know, it's no zero entry. It's no.
Sure, but it's also still a really great pool.
Oh, it's fantastic. Which is where I would go back to if you're mostly going to be gone, and maybe you only have 1 resort day. Maybe Art of Animation or even Pop Century or something like that is the right resort, especially of those 2 because they're going to have Skyliner access versus the All Stars. The All Stars to me are and I was actually just talking with a client about this the other day because they were asking about the All Stars. I don't typically recommend them for longer trips because they're a smaller room. Two, they're farther from the parks, and three, they don't have even what Pop Century and Art of Animation, and they're in the same category. Now you're going to pay a little bit more for Pop Century and Art of Animation, but to me, I think that's worth it, especially on a longer trip, to be able to have access to the Skyliner. I mean,
Yeah.
if you've never ridden the Skyliner,
Skyliner is one of our favorite modes of transportation.
I think it is my favorite. The only downfall to it, and realistically, you can have that with kind of any of the other modes outside of the bus, is it's weather dependent.
It is weather dependent.
But so that's something.
In summertime, you can almost always bet between about 2 and 4 o'clock.
Which is why a lot of times when we went last summer and last June,
yeah,
or maybe it was the June before actually. I think it was the June before.
Yeah, it was the
June before. We ended
up
driving a lot of times in the evenings back over.
Because we would leave right around lunchtime.
Come back around 4 and it was raining.
Yep.
Now, that being said, typically you can just wait that out an hour if you really want to.
Yeah.
And it was normally done raining by the time we got back, or to the parks itself. So another thing to think about when you're picking a resort is characters. You know, there is everything from Disney characters theming in your face to very minimalistic.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Art of Animation is the one that comes to mind to most people when it comes Disney in your face. Theming. They're going to have Finding Nemo. They're going to have Little Mermaid. They're going to have Cars, and is there one more? Lion King. Lion King. Something with those though is you got to look at what you're looking to do, because like at Art of Animation, all the standard rooms are Little Mermaid. Yeah. And that's a long walk to get to the Skyliner. It's
all the way at the end.
Yeah. Now, fortunately for us, when we stayed there, I feel like we were in the Little Mermaids when we stayed there, and we actually had a fairly decent room location. Because I don't feel like our walk to the Skyliner was that bad. Because we were kind of on the end. We weren't tucked in the middle.
Yeah, we just walked we were on the outside end.
Yeah, it was like a 5-minute walk.
Yeah.
So realistically, I mean, you can kind of look at the map and maybe request where you want to be if they can accommodate that. But, you know, that's just something for some of these resorts. Like Caribbean Beach is a moderate resort, and
it's huge.
It's gigantic. Now,
when we stayed there, it was closer for us to go to
the Riviera.
The Riviera, Skyline.
And there's a couple, they have they're named after countries, I guess, is what every country, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can kind of see on the map with the placement, there's 2, Martinique, and I can't remember the one that we didn't stay in, that's across the water. That's basically right next to it, because we had to walk in front of the Riviera from Martinique to get over to the Skyliner. There's one that's it might be Jamaica. I'm gonna have to look that up.
But I know Trinidad is all the way down and
away from everything.
But it is close to Spyglass. There's a restaurant.
Sebastian's is there?
No, it's not Sebastian's. There's another restaurant with Caribbean Beach.
Okay.
That I know it's close to.
So I mean, again, that's just something you need to look at, and you know, that's where, to me, when you're working with a travel professional, especially one that's stayed at these places and can look at
they can give you that idea.
Yeah, you can figure out where you want to try to stay, and you know, because again, there's no guarantee that you're going to get the request. Matter of fact, I know that we got Martinique, which was fine when we stayed there, but I'm 95% sure I requested a different location.
You did.
I want to say I requested Jamaica.
Yeah.
Because that's why I think Jamaica's the one that's on the other side of the Riviera, that's basically right outside the Skyliner station. And they gave us the opposite, which again is...
It is what it is.
It is what it is. You know, that could have been booked up for however long. So we talked about some characters. You know, they've got some themings throughout the resorts. Like the Polynesians got Moana. Mm-hmm. So if you had a huge Moana fan, the Polynesian might be the one for you. That's going to make their day. Like we've got a client that's getting ready to go, and their kids love Cars. So the Cars suites at Art of Animation, that's right up their alley. Now they're gonna pay the same price as the Deluxe for this family suite, but you're gonna have a separate bedroom. You're gonna have a little kitchenette. You're gonna have a lot more space than your typical room.
Yeah.
But you know, at the Contemporary is the Incredibles. Those rooms they just got redone. They're fantastic. So if you got a huge
I've
Incredibles
heard
fan,
mixed reviews on the theming
I
over
would,
there.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I've heard mixed reviews on that.
But you could also stay in the Garden Lake, and it's not
Yeah.
necessarily as heavily themed there.
Yeah.
Or in like Bay Lake Tower, which is a little bit different. So it's still a section off of the Grand Floridian. Something else to think about is your dining options. You know,
Is it important to have
we like Ohana
options
for breakfast, especially. It is extremely convenient to be there already for a breakfast reservation.
Because even if, let's say it's 8:30, we're not walking over there till 8:15.
8:15 at the late or at the earliest.
Instead of having to get everybody up moving by 7 out of the room by 7:30.
And not to mention that it's hard to get to some of these hotels.
Sometimes, yeah.
To get to them for those early dining reservations. Like honestly, the best way I think to get over there a lot of times is like an Uber or a ride share. Minivans through the Lyft app, which we've never tried those. We've got plans to try them when we go down here next week to try those out. They're run by Disney, and you book them through the Lyft app, but they're Disney cast members and they have Disney movies playing. And the cool part about those is they have car seats for the kids, so you have all those there. But you may be, you want to eat at, let's say, 1900 Park Fair. You want to try it for breakfast and dinner, breakfast and dinner. To me, it's a no-brainer to try to stay at the Grand Floridian. If you know you're going to try to eat somewhere twice, instead of having to worry about getting somewhere twice from another resort, it might be worth the money just to stay there. We talked a little bit about the pools and the recreation.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing a fireworks cruise, which we've talked about those before, those are fantastic. It's great to be able to just be there.
It is, but you don't have to be.
You don't have to be, no. And that's where you kind of got to weigh your options. You got to look and say, okay, is it worth, let's say, $2,000 to be able to stay not only closer to your fireworks cruise, but you're closer to your parks and everything else at the same time. That's to each person. That's not. Yeah, there is no one answer.
Each their own.
And it honestly can, like for us, it depends on the trip. There's some days that we want to stay close. Like we're staying at Port Orleans the next time we go, which is the only thing it's close to is Disney Springs, which is cool. I mean, it's got the boat transportation, but if you're going to be hot and heavy in the parks,
which is closed right now.
Is it still closed?
Last I saw it was.
I've seen it's been kind of back and forth. Some days it's open, some days it's closed. But I mean, realistically, I think it's like a 20-minute walk.
Yeah.
Or you can get they have the buses running.
That's it, buses.
This is kind of getting off on a little bit of a tangent. But if you have a car at Disney Springs, it's not always a bad idea to bring it because the parking's free. Which if you're staying on property,
and if you're
parking's
shopping,
free. You got somewhere to put it.
Absolutely.
We were talking about that with your sister. That was the one place.
She said that was the one place they didn't drive.
They didn't drive to, and they should have.
And they should have drove.
Because then you don't have to carry all that stuff back on a bus or.
Yep, you can leave it right in your car for the rest of your trip. You don't even have to take it in your room. So
how do you decide whether you're going to stay value, moderate, or deluxe, or what do you consider?
I consider what's our plan for the week or the couple days that we're going to be there. I also look at our budget.
Budget's a big one.
What can we swing? It's always nice to stay deluxe.
It is, yeah.
They're super nice, super convenient.
They are worth staying deluxe.
But sometimes, is it worth the extra money? Depending on what we're doing.
Yeah. If you're
we've gone just for the Halloween party. Or for a Christmas party.
I think it was a Christmas party. We stayed at All Stars.
We stayed at All Stars.
Which, again, I mentioned All Stars before. All Stars are great. I have no problems.
I was very pleasantly surprised with the room.
I have no hang-ups with All Stars. I just don't know that I want to stay there for an entire week.
Yeah.
That's just me.
It is. It is a far way away.
And, I mean, to me, it's a little tight for a week. And even the Little Mermaids rooms at Art of Animation are tight for a week.
I felt like that was tight in terms of getting a stroller in and out.
But to me, that's where the Skyliner can maybe outweigh that versus an All-Star suite.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm looking at my budget. I'm looking at we're trying to stay at all the resorts.
Mm-hmm.
Have we stayed there?
That's a big one for us because again, trying to experience.
Right, we're trying to get a feel for as many as we can.
That way we can recommend to you guys. I would stay here. I wouldn't stay here. Blah 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 blah. Or I would say I would probably stay in all of them. It would just depend on, which is again the consultation call we talked about. That's why that's a big
Kind of getting a feel for
to be able to figure out what you want to do.
Yep.
To me, if you're doing a once in a lifetime trip, quote unquote, there's very few people that I would say do it one time, and that's the only time they ever go.
Everyone says it's one time, and then they go, and then they say.
But there are people who only go once.
Absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But to me, that's where if you're going to spend the money, I would go all out. If you know,
but not everybody can go all out.
You can't. But realistically, what's the biggest difference between staying, even Garden Wing at the Contemporary, versus staying at Pop Century? A couple $1,000?
Probably.
Is it worth just putting it off for another year? And I'm not one to say do that. I'm one to take the trip because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. But if you're relatively healthy and you don't have anything, obviously anything can come up. But, if it takes an extra 6 months to be able to stay and, get the full Disney experience, to me, I would consider that. That's just
it's all, I think it's all dependent upon the person.
It is. It's all subjective. It all could be, age and kids' ages and stuff like that. We always talk to people about going when kids are young because they're free.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you don't put it off because then you got to pay for the kids once they get to 3 years old. Like I know we've talked about with your sister, she wants to go before her youngest turns 3 because then that's an added ticket.
Absolutely.
So that kind of wraps up our picking a Disney resort, which again, we've kind of talked about it and it's kind of been a repeat thing. It really is dependent on each individual family. If you've got a huge family, maybe an All-Stars then is not necessarily a bad thing because that's going to be, or possibly, should hopefully be, in the budget of every single age group on that family.
Yeah.
To where you might have some younger family members who are just starting out that don't have quite as much cash flow to fork out. You might have some people who do. And I think that would be a good, kind of meet in the middle thing that everybody can stay at the same spot.
Yeah.
And be within their budget. And still, again, the All-Stars, they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them.
I was very happy when we stayed at All-Stars. I mean, I know we really weren't there to do anything other than sleep and catch the bus. But
if that's what you're doing, especially if you're doing a very park-heavy trip, which a lot of times your multi-generational family trips are extremely park-focused, then that's not necessarily a bad thing. Just kind of go back, lay your head down, and chill out.
Yep.
So we're going to go into our this or that segment. This is kind of a question that you may not have an answer to. Happily Ever After on the Hubgrass or watching it from Main Street?
I think I'm going to say on the Hub.
That's the only place we've watched it from.
It's the only place we've watched it from, but I like to watch the displays, the projections.
There's projections on Main Street too.
There is.
That we've never seen.
There's not. But I like the ones that I can see on the castle.
Yeah. To me, and it's all crowded.
It is.
To me, just the look of Main Street feels more crowded to me, just because it's a smaller area.
Mm-hmm.
It may not feel like that to actually be in there doing that. Your sister watched it from Main Street in our December trip. Weren't they on Main Street? Because they got separated from us.
They got separated from us, but I think they were like on that back loop where like that
plaza?
party,
like where parties.
No, like when you come in for like the Halloween parties and the Christmas parties.
Okay, yeah,
I think
back
they
like
got pushed back there.
Plaza Rush on the others. If you're
and
looking
I honestly think they were at like the very beginning, almost near the confectionery.
I don't know.
I think they were pretty far back.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say
That might be a touchy topic if you ask my sister.
I'm gonna edit that out. I promise. Just kidding. I'm gonna say on the Hubgrass too. We have a pretty regular spot that we like to go, that we don't really venture too far off of if we can avoid it. Now we watched them on our anniversary trip from Fantasyland. Now that being said,
The
due to
wind was
the wind was
blowing.
blowing, so we didn't get the full Fantasyland. I think that would be a good area too. It's a lot less crowded back
If
there.
you're not worried about
Projections.
the projections,
I guess it probably would depend on where you are. If you could see Tinkerbell fly, maybe like New Fantasyland area, you might be able to see her.
maybe.
But like Small World, I don't know that you could see her.
I don't know that you'd be able to from anywhere.
You might from a glimpse, maybe just depending on the angle.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
But it was cool.
Yeah, it was different.
You know, it was different. They had it blocked off.
You got trampled
right at
Friar's Nook.
Friar's Nook. Yes, they had it blocked off there because of the wind. And it was interesting. You don't realize how far behind the castle the fireworks really are.
Yeah, they're a long way away.
You know, they look so close.
Yeah, no.
When you're standing in the hub or on Main Street.
You go back there, you feel like
back there and
like they're not even Disney's fireworks. You don't feel like back there. I think I would like to watch them from like the Small World area. The famed Tangled bathrooms.
Yeah, I've heard that it's pretty good back there.
I think that would be a spot to watch. But again, we go a lot of times.
We like the show.
We like the show.
We like the show.
And right now, our oldest seeing Tinkerbell fly. I don't think we could not do that right now.
Yeah, I don't think we could not.
That might be another season in our life when we get to be able to watch it back there.
Yep.
Casey's Corner or Sleepy Hollow?
I'm going Sleepy Hollow. I like their breakfast. I like their snacks.
Yeah.
What are you going with? That's a tough one for you.
See, to me, the big one, and I've had not breakfast at Sleepy Hollow, and it was fine. Their breakfast to me is their moneymaker for me.
Their breadwinner.
Yeah, they have the Nutella waffle and the Mickey waffle with the strawberries and stuff like that. But the corn dog nuggets from Casey's Corner, I don't care what anybody says, they're fantastic.
And I mean, even the hot dog, like I know it's just and
it's gigantic
theme park hot dog, but it's good.
And they've got specialty hot dogs. Like I've seen like a chili cheese dog kind of thing with jalapenos on it recently.
But Sleepy Hollow has a really, really good funnel cake.
I think we're going to disagree. I think I'm going Casey's. To me, Casey's is more all around.
We can agree to disagree. I like Casey's.
Yeah, it's good.
I like Casey's.
I wouldn't not go to get.
But if I had to pick, I'm going Sleepy Hollow. I like their waffle, their Mickey waffle with strawberries.
Yeah, but see, to me, I can't compare it that way because Casey's isn't open for breakfast. So I gotta compare Casey's lunch / dinner to Sleepy
And I'll be
Hollow
honest with you, dinner. I don't know that I've ever gotten anything food wise beyond lunch at Sleepy Hollow.
The best thing Sleepy Hollow had, they don't have it anymore.
It was the Doomberry.
Yeah, that was amazing.
The Doomberry punch.
It's the simplest thing. It was blackberry ginger ale, and I don't even think there was anything. They might have had a mint leaf in it.
I think it did.
It was amazing, especially when it's hot.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was the most refreshing. If you can find blackberry ginger ale, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I found it this winter.
I think it was like BJ's or something.
It was like a winter blend.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was really good.
Next one I got for you is Beauty and the Beast live on stage at Hollywood Studios or the Frozen sing-along at Hollywood Studios.
I think I'm going to go Frozen. It's funny.
It is funny. I like Frozen, and I love Beauty and the Beast.
It's Frozen. They're both really good shows, but I feel like the Frozen sing-along,
it's got some
they're
adult
very
humor
interactive, and yes.
It's funny for all ages. And obviously your kids, if they've been living under a rock and don't know what Frozen is, then I don't know what to tell you. But, they're obviously going to be able to sing along to all the songs, but, the adults will get some enjoyment out of it at the same time. Skyliner Resort or a monorail resort?
I think I'm going monorail. It's super convenient. It's super convenient not to have to break that stroller down.
You don't have to break it down on a Skyliner.
You do a double.
A double wide double.
A double wide double.
but not a double back to back. You don't.
No, tandem.
I like the Skyliner. I like it better than monorail. Monorail stinks.
It does. And
I like the
and
monorail too, but it stinks.
I like the Skyliner.
I like the views when you get up there.
The
and you see everything.
views.
And there's nothing better than welcome aboard, Islanders. You're on board the Disney Skyliner. It's my favorite thing.
Our next stop is Epcot.
Yep. I love the Skyliner. Our last one, Big Thunder Mountain or Space Mountain?
Space Mountain beat me up last time.
Space Mountain's rough.
Like, because you won't ride roller coasters.
I rode Big Thunder.
So I rode it, and there was a couple that I got paired up with because it's three to a space park. I guess. I don't know what it's actually called. And the girl behind me, the girl with the couple, she was petrified because they got put in the front and the middle, and I was in the back. And she did not want to sit in the front. She was petrified. So she wanted me to switch. So I sat in the front. Well, I couldn't tell you the last time that I've ridden Space Mountain.
It's like going to the chiropractor.
It's something. Well, I would squeal, and she at the end of the ride told me thank you because she knew when to be prepared anytime something was going to happen. So I was glad I could be of assistance, but I think I showed you the picture.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was her husband or her boyfriend, he had his arms behind her, and he was holding on to her the entire time. God bless her. She was so nervous.
Yeah. I've been on Space Mountain.
So I think I'm gonna go Big Thunder.
Yeah, I've been on Space Mountain. It's been years. Like
I did lose a pair of sunglasses on Big Thunder though.
You did?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. They gone.
Yep.
You weren't hanging on to your hat and glasses, folks.
Hanging on. I did not.
I don't disagree with you. I think Big Thunder's just better. I mean, to me, Space Mountain's cool, but it's dark. You don't see anything.
You don't see anything.
Or you see very little.
Yeah.
But they also, I know you're not a huge Star Wars person, but like out in Disneyland, if you're comparing those two, when they have, I forget what they actually call it. I have to go back and look at it. It's basically a Star Wars themed Space Mountain. That to me would be cool.
Right.
To be able to see that
Change
kind of
the theming on it.
And at the Halloween party, they play some different things.
Yeah.
But it's still, at the Halloween party, it's completely dark.
Yeah.
There's nothing. So that about wraps us up for this week's episode. We want to thank y'all for listening. If you'd like a quote for your next Disney or Universal vacation, the quote form is going to either be in the show notes or in the YouTube description. Just make sure to select us as the preferred agents. All our social media on Instagram is going to be Jamie_Magical Vacations. TikTok is going to be Jamie_Such-a-Time-Travel. YouTube is going to be Magical Vacations by Jamie and Brandy. Facebook is going to be Magical Vacations by Jamie and Brandy. Such a Time as This, a travel agency. If you're listening to the podcast, make sure to rate and review it. If you're listening on Spotify, there's a question at the end of this show, which is going to be, what Disney resort would you stay at if you had no limitations? If you're watching on YouTube, just like the video and subscribe to the channel. So that way you can keep up with everything that's going on. And thank y'all for listening.